All right, I believe we're now streaming. Thanks everyone for their patience. We're a little late. So I'd like to call the Town of Rochester Town Board regular business meeting to order. If we could all stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Christina, you're filling in as the clerk tonight. Hi, thank you. Could you do the roll call?
Council Ciardi. Here. Council Coleman.
Here.
Council Rubendial.
Here.
Council Smisa. Here. Supervisor Nally.
Here.
And.
Yes. Yes. Great. So I do have, so for the acceptance of the agenda, I'd like to make a motion that the town board accepts the agenda with amendments. So the following amendments would be to have the continuation of the public hearing as our first item. I'd like to add a discussion item of the September 11th memorializing resolution. And then I'd like to, after discussion and possible resolutions, I'd like to add an executive session for the purposes of the matters leading to the appointment of particular persons. Or second. Okay. Any discussion?
I have one. Can we also add the executive session, matters of current litigation?
Yeah, when we go into executive session, I think we have to say exactly what the litigation is.
The one that's on the agenda.
Oh, okay, sure. We'll say it when we do the resolution. Okay.
Carried.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, the motion carries. Okay, so the one thing that I had left off of the agenda by accident is our first item will be the continuation of the public hearing. So we did this at our last, when we had this public hearing, we continued it until tonight. So continuation of the public hearing for local law J of 2024, amending chapter 140 zoning. So this is a continuation of that public hearing. That is a proposal to update chapter 140 zoning. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak on the public hearing for local law J? Is there anyone? So because I forgot to put this on the agenda, I'm going to recommend that we hold this public hearing open until our audit meeting.
I make a motion to hold public hearing for local law J 2024 to be held open until our audit meeting on September 26th at the Harold Whitman Community Center. At 6:30.
Okay.
One second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay, the motion carries. So first up is the supervisor's financial report. So I'll just read, I put this on the board members agenda, but I'll read this out loud for the public. Their August 2024 financials. So this is like the numbers for the actual month of August. Our general fund revenue was $185,220.26. The highway fund revenue was $6,180.70. Our total expenditures for the month of August in general fund, $248,892.28. Highway fund is $108,715.88. Street lighting fund, $173.60. There were no capital or ambulance fund expenditures, and escrow was $7,000 $525.38. And then we approved abstract 8 of 2024, which is on there. For the supervisor's correspondence report, we did review correspondence, last week. And I had one piece of correspondence that I believe Councilman Coleman must have passed out unless oh, nope, didn't, because I had that. So this is something that was sent to me and requested that the board consider. So I wanted to pass that out to you. But otherwise, I think the board has been copied on all other major correspondence. It's two stuff. Yeah, this is 2 sheets. And
Use of business.
yeah, I printed out these things. So okay, great. So this is just a request, sort of like a letting us know that we can be included in this conservation district, which basically isn't binding for anything, and there's some funding opportunities that are opened up if we pass a resolution to be included in this. So I did want to follow up about this because I think anything that can help us apply for grant funding is something that we should definitely pursue. But wanted to make sure that the board got that, and we can add that maybe at the end if you guys want as a discussion item if we have time just to talk through it. I don't really have much new to report on our grants other than what we have already discussed. I signed the Boyce Mill Bridge Road design papers and got those into our engineer. We will be requesting an extension on that for the work order. The county ARPA parks, we reviewed that last week, the bathroom design, and are working to finalize the siding of that. Our JCAP grant, we just reissued the request for proposals. And then for the 2 new Bridge New York grants that we received, we just have that initial paperwork that we had to do years ago for Bridge New York. It's due at the end of October. So I'll be meeting with our highway superintendent and highway secretary to review that paperwork and make sure we get everything in on time. I'm sure I have other updates, but it's been kind of a whirlwind day, so my brain is a little blank. Upcoming agendas. We have our September audit meeting that currently is planned for just the audit, and now the public hearing will be open until then. And then, oh, I forgot this on the agenda. But note, we wanted to just start talking about October budget meeting schedule, and I think you guys had requested that we try to keep those to existing meetings and then maybe schedule more meetings as needed. But under other matters, I'm just gonna write that so we can check in.
Wait, when did we say the September audit meetings? What date?
26.
And a reminder that our October workshop meeting is the 1st. So it's a Tuesday. So because of the holiday. Okay. Mary Lou, do you have anything to report as the town attorney?
Just that the has appointed me to represent the planning board on Rock and Martin's petition against them regarding the granary decision. So I have obtained an extension to file our papers until October 22nd, seeing as I was just appointed and the papers otherwise would have been due last week. Or I'm sorry, next week. So I will start working on that next week. And I'll talk with you about DeJager later on the agenda, as well as any questions that you might have on the assessment review case.
Great. For the there's not a highway superintendent report, but I am happy to report, and I'm sure Jeff is, and I know our highway secretary is too, that the CHIPS funding came through a week early, so we received that on Tuesday. So that is wonderful that it all came in and all came in on time. So that was over $600,000 of CHIPS reimbursement. So the highway fund will reimburse the town for the amount that we loaned them plus the interest that would have accrued. And then the balance will be basically, well, the highway fund does have funds in it, but the balance will be what's carrying them through to the end of the year. Okay, department updates and liaison reports. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Chrissy, would you like to give the town clerk tax clerk report? I'm sorry.
Yes, I don't have a tax collector one, but the month of August, $52,067.52 was received from the town clerk's office. Hunting licenses are now on sale. Also, doe permits are available until October 1st. And we have a resignation. Mr. Grosso, planning board chair and member.
Great, thank you. Okay, and then so now we can have department updates and liaison reports. Go around the room. Emily, do you have anything?
I did talk to Terry. They met the same thing that we did last week. I know I did after the family. The only change is I'm gonna try and get to one of the meetings next month.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Did you say you're good? Are you
I know
fine?
I'm finding it.
Well, I'll go
Like,
some,
will I
mine
find it?
are fast. So ZBA, no updates, there's no meeting, last month. And, it sounds like there may not be a meeting on the agenda for next month, although that may change. I didn't see any report from the constabulary.
You should receive it in your email right now.
Come back to that then. Spectrum, no updates. I will follow up with you this time. You said that finalizing permits. Spoke with Joe Vitti from Marbletown First Aid Unit, although over text, we've both been traveling. Haven't connected yet, but we're gonna find some time to chat soon, but it sounds like everything is going well with the squad. Also spoke with Mr. Nerfo from Cape Bass, had some conversations. I know we received some correspondence, some updates in the contract there. And, you know, basically just reiterated some of the discussion we had in terms of what board would be looking for in terms of additional documentation, trying to move to the next phase in the process. And I haven't seen an email. There we go. Constabulary, 19 direct calls for service, 14 neighbor to neighbor, quality of life, 3 resident traffic complaints, 2 environmental complaints, 0 new building department violations, 2 new court cases open, 7 court proceedings remaining open, and 0 court proceedings closed.
Right, so for the housing committee, we had our kickoff meeting, you guys hear it, right? Kickoff meeting, with the consultants for the housing site inventory, that we got through being Housing Smart Community through the county, through county funding. And it seems like it's gonna go in a great direction. It was a lot to take in of information that's coming our way at once. That's good. Both of the liaisons for the housing committee, who signed up to be the point persons for the housing committee were able to make it. So there's another meeting scheduled for next week, I believe, if I'm not wrong, with myself and then Kai from the county Elizabeth from the Housing Committee and the consultants. So we look forward to their work starting. The zoning changes have kind of made their timeline that was originally supposed to go for the project. Part of it, obviously is very much so tied to zoning. So to do a housing site inventory, there's certain pieces of the project that will wait until we're at the end of those public hearings and approving those changes or not. And then for the Senior Youth and Recreation Commission, the Town of Rochester Summer Program was a great success this year. Thank you again to the Rondout Valley Food Pantry for providing so much food for the kids in our program. Their assistance is always greatly appreciated, and we look forward to working with them again next year. We're now gearing up to begin the after-school program on Monday, September 16th. Registration has been great this year. There are 8 more kids that will be attending than last year, so we are thrilled to get started. Open enrollment for Medicare will be from October 15th, 2024 until December 7th, 2024. The Ulster County Office of the Aging will be hosting consultations at the Harold Lemon Community Center on various dates. Please contact them directly for more information or to make an appointment at 845-340-3456. Basketball registration will take place in October. More information will be provided in the coming weeks. And last but not least, Heritage Day will be happening on October 5th this year, and the Town of Rochester Recreation Department will once again be hosting the annual pie contest. Youth and adult categories will be available. There will be a cash prize for winners. Call the rec department if you're interested in entering the competition. That's from our recreation director, Ashley Sweeney. And just thank you again to all of the staff and counselors and everyone for the summer program. If you guys follow our rec department on Facebook, it looked like everyone, counselors included, had an absolutely hilariously fun summer in our program. So if you haven't, go look at them. There's some very funny pictures of our counselors at various trips with the kids. So, and that's all I got.
Thanks to everyone.
Great. So just some brief sort of updates from departments and boards that I have historically liaised with. The ECC, I forwarded this to Councilwoman Sneetheth, but they found a grant opportunity that, I don't know if you remember, we talked about doing a inventory of the trees and flora and fauna of one of the town properties, and thought that maybe it was a good opportunity to apply for funding for that. Charlotte had mentioned that there'd probably be something out there. Well, they found something really good, and that is due at the end of the month. So Charlotte, they requested that maybe you and Judith could talk if you, because she had started to work to say that she could assist with that as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, the links, the email you forwarded me, none of the links.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned myself.
Great. I'll try to, okay. And then, I've been, working, I don't have any like actual reports, like the reports from the code enforcement office, but, I've been working with them a few times a week. We're keeping in regular correspondence and, have been working to look at ways of streamlining systems, review site plan approvals, make sure that they have everything they need to, do enforcement. That's been really good. That one of the conversations we've had is about trying to get a weekend enforcement staff for all the various events and businesses that are open on weekends, which I've mentioned, and I'm trying to figure out what that role should be, whether it's a contractor role or a staff. I have a lot of really enthusiastic individuals who are interested in, I've made appointments to our Climate Smart committee, and we have a group of very enthused individuals that would like that first meeting to get scheduled. So that is something that I need to put together, and I believe you offered to assist with that. Okay. So Renee is gonna help get that kicked off, and maybe we can transition that over to you. Let's see, what other things was I the liaison to that transfer station. We are talking about doing a waste audit as part of the budget process so that we can look at what some of our fee changes should be just to consider with the 2025 budget. I did do a quick analysis and found that our fees, our permit fees and the fees that we charge pretty much cover the operations, not including, you know, keeping the lights on, but everything else, which is pretty good because we don't have that for most of our other departments. So the staff has been doing a good job of, you know, working with everything that's coming in. And I think that's about it for now. So we can move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, HPC. I'm sorry, I was thinking Kate, but yes, you're the proxy.
Yes, so the HPC awards will be given out at 2 p.m. at the museum on Heritage Day. And the commission continues to work on updating the reconnaissance survey. Done.
Great.
Thank you.
So I'd like to open up the floor for our public comment portion of our regular business meeting. I know we received a couple of letters, which if we want to read those in, maybe should we do that at the end? First, yeah, let's first open the floor up. Is there anyone here that would like to address the town board? Charles.
Hi, Charles Nurko, KFAS. Several years ago, we came to the town board because we needed some serious help. There was a 1 in 5 chance that someone called 911, ambulance in town would show up. People were waiting for ambulances from Sullivan County to answer critical calls in town. The town board acted decisively from the tax district, and the community came together and said, this is a worthy investment. I think it's the first time in the history of the town of Rochester, people across the aisle came together and said, yes, raise your taxes. And the cool thing is that the average homeowner in the town of Rochester only pays $1 more a week for an ambulance service. And what they get with that service is rather than an all volunteer response, where you play roulette, and there's a 1 in 5 chance an ambulance will not show. The work of our dedicated volunteers is augmented by hiring paid staff when our volunteers are unavailable to respond. Through KFAS's fiscal management, we've been able to provide that outstanding service, increasing our response rate to a near perfect 100%. The reason it's not exactly 100% is sometimes you get funky situations when there's multiple 911 calls. We're actually really good about doing backup calls. Sometimes there's 3 calls at once, and in those rare circumstances, we'll have an ambulance from the neighboring town respond. But right now in the town of Rochester, you call 911, there is a local ambulance crew ready to respond. KFAS is able to do this at less than half the cost of the average municipality in Ulster County. Last year, Ulster County came out with a report analyzing all the ambulance service fees through municipalities, paid and volunteer. KFAS is less than half of that. We're happy to brag about KFAS, but we'll be getting updated financial information to the town board by next week. We look forward to continuing our partnership with the town and providing the community with the service that they expect and that they deserve to keep everyone safe, healthy, so that they can receive prompt medical care in time of need. I thank the town board for its partnership with KFAS.
Sorry, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the town board?
Sorry.
Would you like to address the town board, sorry? Sure. I'm gonna I turned down the air and now it's cold.
some of them probably recognize this device. I'm gonna speak about the code enforcement officer office, and I think it's in crisis. And it's basically based on my personal experience. The beginning of the summer, I filed a complaint for noise violation in my judgment because those entities were violating permit operation. It was Enos and Stonehill. And to my surprise, last week I continued to hear the noise again from Enos coming 11 p.m. If you want, I can demonstrate to you. So I found another complaint, and then I arranged an appointment last Monday with the code enforcement officer. Unfortunately, the conversation wasn't very substantive. I heard such words, such comment like, "We are not Gestapo," or "Once mail leaves a court, I have no control of it." And at the end, no resolution pass was proposed. I just want to read to you what our comprehensive plan said back in 2006 on this matter. It says mitigate on policy recommendations, mitigate unwarranted noise and other nuisances from degrading the residential character of neighborhoods, while at the same time allowing working residents to be able to perform regular maintenance of their property. Considering noise control criteria of new commercial, industrial, and institutional uses outside of commercial industrial zones. So this essentially suggests to have some mitigation method, which is in permits. I'm as a member of planning board specifying certain conditions for noise generation and noise control. Then I want to take you to chapter 140 of the zoning. It says, it is the legislative intent of this chapter to provide standards and procedure to guide land use and new development. This chapter specifically intended to implement the Town of Rochester comprehensive plan, including but not limited to the following objectives. Objective item Q, preventing intrusion of incompatible uses of residential areas so as to ensure privacy for residents and their freedom from nuisance. Item X, protecting the community against insightfully obtrusive and noisy land use and operations. Then I want to take you to a chapter which says violation and penalties. Whenever violation of this chapter occurs, any person may file complaint in regard thereto. All such complaint must be in writing and shall be filed with the building inspector, who shall properly record such complaint and immediately investigate and report thereon to the town board. I want to ask you, have you ever received any reports from code enforcement officer? I don't. Then there is a paragraph about the fees. Actually, there are penalties, like a first penalty, $350, second penalty, 350 to 700, and third penalty to 700 to 1,000. Now, I want to bring up also Arrowwood. According to the permit that was given to them in 2018, monitoring of subwoofers should be, they have to be 60 hertz or below, shall be banned from use to maintain appropriate sound level. Speaker dimensions shall be no larger than 7 foot in height. Results of sound monitoring are to be filed after every special event, including live music, with the code enforcement officer within 5 business days. I challenge you to find those records. And the irony is they basically supposedly doing it themselves. It's like a fox is, watching the hands. So based on that, I just making conclusion that there is a crisis in that office. And I think one of the reasons for that as well, because I discovered that there are only 2 people working part-time there. So essentially, if it's 2 people working part-time, 2 days from week, it's 40% of the need of the capability, or 2 of them, or if they work, combine them in 1 person, will be 80%. So that office need to have a full-time person, because you cannot continue with this. And the irony is that residents of the town live on the illusion that there is everything nice and dainty in that department, but it's not. Another irony is that I now, as a planning board members, we're spending our volunteer time during the meeting, preparing for the meeting, working on those permits, working on those conditions, but nothing is enforced. So please keep it considered information that I brought to you. And hopefully, I heard you mention you start talking to code enforcement officers, so hopefully something get improved. And sorry, I'll send you that text message with sound 11 o'clock. I didn't mean to wake you up. I just sent it as evidence.
Thanks, Ryan. Is there anyone else here who'd like to address the town board? Would you like to address the town board?
I'm writing it on, but I like. You guys don't have to turn around.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
No, thank you. Last night was our annual honoring for Patriots Day, which is a federally observed now day of remembering the attacks on September 11th of 2001. And we had an event which we've had now, I believe, for 21, 22 years at the Aqua Fire District main house right here on Main Street. And we usually do one at approximately 7 p.m. Candlelight action there with the raising of a flag that in fact hung over the World Trade Center for quite some time during that period of recovery. What I'd like to do, when I put forward, I dropped it off to, I'm sorry, scribble there. And thank you, Supervisor Inowen and Councilman Pullman for reaching out to me and explaining where you were. I'm glad you were there and I wasn't. I spent too many days in DC. But I would like this to become an annual event, because what it does, and as a number of us explained last night, we're thanking the volunteers of our town on that day. And in fact, Supervisor Baden did have a certain day in the spring, if I recall, that was considered called Volunteers Day. And it was done right over here at the town park thing. And it got lukewarm response. And I would like to see that consideration be put forth with a resolution. And in fact, it'd be great, I think, to honor one of our lost, in this case, a soldier, Sean Farrell rather, Jr. And Sean gave his life in defense of the country. And I think that would be great in honoring him. In fact, that very flag was used during the proceedings, but during his memorial mass here in town. So I just put that forth tonight because I don't want another year to go by. And so I discussed this, and I previously did last night with Aaron about putting this to a resolution. So I really would appreciate all of you to take into consideration to do this so that we can honor these people who are volunteers. And I say that officially too, it's coming up, I believe, on my 20th anniversary as emergency management director. Without having volunteers, we can't run this town. And I think it would not be asking a lot to say thank you to all the volunteers. Because I could tell you, there are a whole lot of people who perished on that day because they were helping somebody and didn't leave those buildings. And I know that because I was there. So thank you for listening to me. And whenever you could put something like that together, if you all decide to do that, I greatly appreciate it. And I guess my timing was impeccable for once.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the town board tonight? Okay, is there anyone on? No? Okay, so now, next we have town board member time. Any board members want to? Oh, I'm sorry, you. Thank you. Okay, we have 2 comments that came in written. One was requested to get read in. The other, I wasn't sure if,
Not copies, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
so you're gonna read that one in?
Mhm.
Okay.
So this is a written comment. We have had no meetings or responses from the town board to our questions raised on April 24th regarding issues with the lack of financial reports from KFAS, Cohasset Aquifer First Aid Squad. Since there is no contract with KFAS, how do we move forward? The problem was left in the hands of the town board to follow up to obtain said financial statements. It is now the beginning of September, 5 months later, and we, the committee, knowing nothing of how the town board wants to proceed. As of April 2024, with the lack of financials and no contract, the town cannot write checks to KFAS using the money collected by taxes. What will happen to this money? In September, the town board will begin the 2025 town budget process. When will you be taking action on 2024 KFAS financial issues? What is the plan to move forward? How will you answer? How did KFAS afford the fly car they purchased without receiving town money? KFAS touted they needed the town's money for a new ambulance purchase. Now KFAS has stated they are buying a new ambulance. Although never shown on the paperwork they did submit to the town, it would seem they have found resources to make this purchase as well. What is the town's intent regarding KFAS moving forward? Do these purchases without the town's money? It appears they doing these purchases without the town's money, it appears they no longer need taxpayer money. This committee and taxpayers have the right to answers to these questions. B. Haugen de Vue.
And then we also received a letter from our housing advisory committee. Do we want to read that in? Do you guys?
Do you want, if you want to read it in, I was CC'd on the email, so I got it beforehand. So
Yeah.
I think some really good points about our zoning changes.
Do you think it needs to be made public, whether it's read in or posted on the website?
It would get posted, but I wouldn't be opposed
Yeah, no,
to reading it in. If, Charlotte, do you want to read it in or you want me to read it in?
that would be great.
Okay. Okay, it's a couple pages, but, dear members of the Town of Rochester Town Board, the Town of Rochester Housing Committee commends the efforts you've undertaken thus far to update our zoning code. Prior to finalizing the zoning code, however, we strongly recommend developing affirmative, affordable housing. Oh, did they mean this to be as part of the public hearing?
Yeah,
I see, okay.
well, we left it open. How about we read it at the audit meeting?
Yeah, in that case,
Yeah,
thing
we'll
is
read
it's a
it.
public hearing
I see.
comment. read it at the continuation.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sorry, I think I misunderstood. I thought this was.
I
this.
I
Okay,
forgot the public hearing because I didn't see the agenda
Yeah.
also
Okay.
tonight by.
so this is for public hearing. Great, great. So we should all read this. All the board, ahead of that too. Okay, so we can, read that in. Okay, great. Glad I read the first paragraph. So now it's town board member time. Any members of the town board wish to bring anything up, address anything that was said in public comment?
All I'll say is, thank you to our volunteers. I'm very sorry I couldn't be there last night. I have a very sick toddler. Very thank you. But thank you guys for all your service and that, and all of our volunteers and anyone we lost on 9/11.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, it's a good reminder, because I think, as Jerry pointed out, there's significant amount of people that volunteer time, not just on committees, but just doing things to help make the town run, you know, weeding the garden at the Memorial Park, and I think we all value that as a board, and we should all strive to be better. And personally, I want to be better about acknowledging and thanking people for the time that they spend helping the town. I think it also ties into, you know, one of the points that Torian made. I do think we all want to figure out how to make enforcement better, because I'm sure it's frustrating to spend time, and we know that the planning board spends a ton of time working on these projects, making sure that the residents are protected from intrusion into residential. Nobody wants to feel like that's, you know, just time that's not well spent. You know, I know that's how we all feel about the zoning code. We're spending a lot of time with stuff. They're volunteering their time, so I think it's important that we figure out, address some of these issues, and absolutely make sure that when the planning board comes down with a decision, we're able to. So I'm glad that we're talking to both departments.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate what Michael said about, being there to enforce the codes, and I would also like to look forward to next year to maybe doing something like a block party for our volunteers, and maybe if it felt flat a few years ago, we should still, I don't want to impose on a 9/11, because I think that should be a dedication, but I do think that we should get all these committees together, all the volunteers, you know, the FFA from the high school, and just make it potluck and just have a day of appreciation so we can physically say thank you. I think that's a great idea. And I would be happy to try and head that for next year. If I'm sorry.
I just want to second about the volunteer potluck lunch. I just want to remind us all about our food security volunteers that don't always get thought of in emergency services, because we listed everyone but in emergency work.
Yeah, I love the idea of a dedicated volunteers day. I was wondering what happened with the existing one, why it fell flat. I feel like we make a big effort. And you know, the ideas you have, I know that we're very good at putting together other days in this town. I feel like we could, if we put in the time and resources, we could definitely make it a good way to recognize everybody and give them thanks. I really like that.
Yeah. I wanted to mention to Jerry that I added a discussion item at the end of the agenda tonight, so we will discuss this. I don't think we'll be able to pass the resolution tonight, because I think if we want to do it in conjunction with the fire district and other agencies in town, I might need to get us all to do resolutions together so that I'm not imposing on their property.
And just so you know, I discussed this very issue with Chief Nelson, with Peter, and he was in complete concurrence
Great, yeah,
about it.
I think,
And he thought it was overdue.
great, I think we just might need to coordinate with the different agencies and then we'll do it all together, but I agree that this is the perfect time to do that. And I also have been reminded many times this week that we need to do a better job of I mean, I think there's never enough recognition that we can give to our staff and employees and volunteers and everyone. But that message has been coming up a lot for me this week, so I feel like, you know, we really need to take that to heart. And, you know, show our appreciation, thank you, and even just in sending out thank you notes, you know, as we are about to form another commission tonight, just keeping in mind that what we're asking for people to do when they have served for us. I also wanted to thank Jerry for the event yesterday. It was just very heartfelt. And to Charlotte's point, one of the things that came up is that the idea of a first responder on September 11th was very broad because of who came and was called. And just thank you for that. It was, I think it's really important that we not forget that, and that what we're asking of people, you never know what that's going to be. So, okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For Jerry, just to clarify, first, I'm sorry I wasn't there last night. I didn't know today. It's my fault. It sounds really important, and I guess I just want a clarification from you. Are you asking that we combine Volunteer Day on September 11th, or just that we make a dedicated? It seems like maybe it would be more
Yeah, I think,
dignified to do it
and
separate.
what Renee brought up, and there was one which Supervisor Baden had put
Yeah.
forth, and it actually, I think it needed to progress, and the first, it was only a year or two, if anybody here in the audience may recall, but it was limited, and it was like a barbecue, which was really nice and so forth. But it needed, you have to understand, the first one is always tough.
Yeah.
And then you get the word out and say, hey, it was pretty nice, we all got together, different groups of people, and it was simply the town people, the employees of the town, if you will, put together this thank you for the other people, because we interact, we have to interact. You know, I can officially come in as the ambulance corps comes in, but there's a limit to what I can do without your authority, if you will. And this is just the time now, as far as answering you for 9/11, I simply use that example of what we do with the fire, and of course, the ambulance, everybody is invited to that. And it really is nice when the town board comes together. Don't in any way feel guilty, because it's not the easiest thing, getting people, and it's tough, maybe a tough night. But it's that one special day that we all should remember, you know, of where we were. And I simply see it as, I think it's about time that, because other towns have done this, in which they make it a dedicated service. And I'll tell you a little bit more to that. There was a certain meeting that was taking place, so we kicked this back a bit. And that, I'll be polite and just say, this should have been first. The meeting could come second, because this is in honor of, that's why I would love to give it to the honor of one of our own who lost his life in Iraq. And in fact, told me personally before he went over, and I was never to see him again until we took his body back from Stewart Airport, and I rode with the group and did that on my motorcycle. That was unbelievable what took place right in Roundout, bringing that hearse and taking him through that school. It was not a dry eye there. The reality of, this is what happens when we send our people to war. This is what happens to little communities. And that's why I think it would be great to honor, you know, that family in their sacrifice. And there's now, and honestly, it was brought up last night, Aaron called, more than one person said there's a number of people who are dying. I lost my NYPD partner just a year and a half ago to cancer, to kidney cancer. And all of these related conditions are due to being a first responder. Last night I said to Peter, somebody is going to lose their life at some point, this town responding to your house, or my house, or helping somebody in a car accident, whatever, and somebody won't see maybe the flashing lights, whatever, and it's gonna happen, because I've seen it happen. My career was in New York City and around the world, but I can tell you that these things, when they happen, the first responders tend to be the first people who end up injured or killed because of just trying to get there, you know? So I just think that day be a great day for honoring first responders, all first responders. As far as having an event, I don't know if those two things would be honorable.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I just wanted to clarify. 'Cause
And I-
It sounded like we were talking about two different things.
Emily, I
Make
hope I
sure
answered
we
you.
understand. You did. That
I
was
think
very
they
good.
should be, absolutely, what's the problem in doing it for two different categories? But there's two different things that are taking place there.
Understood.
Um,
Thank you.
And that event that we did last night, as Erin very eloquently put it, that is an emotional situation to speak. And I'll tell you what, it actually is a relief to me, because I end up talking to the widows of people who lost their lives in that day for doing their job. And I see that as, that's why I'm still here, to do that, to help these people. So, I actually go down and enjoy it, but it makes me feel better when other people have other stories of remembering that day, that hour at 8:50, 8:45 in the morning, first, all these different things that I go, each one of us has a different thing that took place. You know, toughest thing for me was, I told my wife of exactly 10 days, I'll see you when I see you. We're coming back from our honeymoon on the 11th of September. That was really tough on Cindy. It's just something I got used to, doing things like this, but I know she was on pins and needles for days, but she didn't even hear, but we had no communication. So it's just, and that's every one of you guys. It's just, you just don't know. I tell you, it's just, it's tough going out there, because you're going in to where there's a serious condition. You don't know if you're going in, and there are people who just shot. The perpetrator of that is still there, and the victims that now you're going in to save, you're gonna become a victim, you know, and that's the way we all just see it. Let's see if we can all work together. I'll leave it at that, and I will gladly, and I appreciate that you guys are discussing all this, each and every one. It's, and I hope this continuity with this board continues. Thank you.
Okay. So, am I missing? Oh, okay. So we'll move on to resolutions. So our first resolution, is that we're doing appointments. And very excited to do this first resolution. Well, okay, the town of, I'd like to make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board appoints Joanne Fairber to the position of Assessor's Aide Permanent from the certificate of eligibles provided by the Ulster County Personnel Department effective September 12th, 2024, at the rate of $22 an hour for regularly scheduled work of 35 hours per week unless authorized otherwise. Yes.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. Motion carries. Congratulations, Joanne. Excited for you to be permanent. Yeah. I'm gonna table the appointment of recreation aides until after the executive session that we're having. And then we have an appointment to the Senior and Youth Commission. I just need to find the term for that, which I have in a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet that has all the big ones. Okay, please hold. All right, so. Okay. Let me see, I'm sorry, they're not in this spreadsheet. Charlotte, I just wanna make sure I know. So to be this week. Okay, great. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Melissa Guillermez to the Senior and Youth Recreation Commission for a term expiring December 31st, 2026. A second. Any discussion?
Thank you for your patience, Melissa. She applied, I think, right before our
Yeah.
transition in supervisors happened to be, so she has been holding strong, still showing up at meetings with no appointment for 6 months. So just thank you for your patience.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. So action on the minutes. Do I have a motion for acceptance of the minutes as presented?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thank you to the clerks
Yes.
for their hard work.
That was a lot.
All of our talking. Yes, that was a lot.
I was like typing that out, that list, and I was like, ooh. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries. Acceptance of donations, sounds like we have 0, so. Or maybe,
Not available.
maybe NA.
I can get that to you.
Okay. Mary Lou, I'm supposed to put the name of this, claim in the resolution, correct?
You're muted.
Yes, and I have it if you don't.
Oh, great. I don't have it right in front of me. It's the,
Okay. It's Hidden Forest MHP space LLC.
okay. So I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes Town Attorney Mary Lou Christiana to represent the town in the small claims assessment review matter Hidden Forest MHP LLC versus Town of Rochester. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. We're gonna go through the health insurance renewals. I put those in your agenda. They were not posted in the agenda, so I'm gonna go ahead and read those since the public didn't read them, if that's okay. So unless someone else wants to lead us through the motions, I'll just make them. Okay? Okay. Happy for someone else to talk if you want. All right. So I'd like to make a motion upon recommendation of the town supervisor. The Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the small employer benefits package with the enrollment of qualified town employees, spouses, families in the MVP Silver 8 Health Plan effective December 1, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, as presented by Marshall and Sterling Group Benefits, and authorizes the supervisor to sign the agreement. The premium rates are at 6% monthly increase, and I have the new rate totals listed. So for single, it's $1,028.49. Employee spouse is $2,056.98. Employee child, $1,748.43. And the family plan is $2,931.20. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? So this was a month. So this was presented. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. The motion carries. Okay, so then, the town pays 80% of those premiums. Employees pay 20. Okay, so authorizing the supervisor to sign the renewal of the health reimbursement account. So I'd like to make a motion upon the recommendation of the town supervisor. The Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the small employer benefits package with enrollment of qualified town employees, spouses, families in the MVP Select Care Incorporated Health Reimbursement Account effective December 1, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, as presented by Marshall and Sterling Group Benefits, and authorizes the town supervisor to sign the agreement. So the deductible is 80% paid by the town. We pay the first 40%, the employee pays the middle 20, and then we pay the end 40. There's a monthly fee of $2.50 per participant per month. And the deductible amount for individual is $4,650 per year, which is an increase of $250. And the double or family is $9,300 per year, or a $500 increase from the existing. And again, we're paying 80%. Got a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. The motion carries. Oh, $2. Okay, good. So I'd like to make a motion upon recommendation of the town supervisor. The Town of Rochester Town Board makes offer to employees the opportunity to enroll in the MVP Select Care Inc. Flexible Spending Account Health FSA in the amount up to $3,200 per year, with a grace period of 2.5 months after the end of the plan year to utilize all funds, effective December 1, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, as presented by Marshall and Sterling Group Benefits, and authorizes the supervisor to sign the agreement. Any discussion? So this is up from $2,850 increase. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. This is our dental insurance renewal. I'd like to make a motion upon recommendation of the town supervisor, the town of Rochester Town Board makes offer to employees the opportunity to enroll in the CDPHP Delta Dental of New York traditional PPO option effective December 1, 2024 through November 30th, 2025 as presented. Marshall and Sterling Group Benefits with employees to pay 25% of the coverage and the town of Rochester to pay 75% of coverage, and authorizes the town supervisor to sign the agreement. I have the rates listed. Sorry, it's the fourth year. There's a typo. It's the fourth year of the same prices. So there's the single coverage is $34.83. Employee spouse, $73.76, employee child, $70.48, and the family is $12.24. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? The motion carries. Okay, if you guys want ahead of this, oh, that's not B. That's weird. That should be J. Anyway, that'll get fixed. So we have a highway budget modification request, and if you'd like, you can reference the highway budget. The lines that we're looking at are on page 3. Is where we're gonna be moving funds at the bottom. And then it would be 2 on page 2. So I'll make the motion, and then in discussion, if you want to look at it, you can. On request, I'd like to make a motion on request of the highway superintendent, the town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the town supervisor as budget officer to modify highway budget by moving $10,000 from budget line 5142.418 snow removal road sand to budget line 5110.440 maintenance of streets professional services paving. Do I have a second? Discussion. So currently the sand line has $19,000 in it. We actually have a supply of sand and salt going into the year. So that will leave us with $9,000 in that fund. And we don't believe that that's going to get used, but we do need to actually put more money in the paving account. So it'll be a net zero, just moving funds from one budget line.
Hopefully.
I
want to bring more snowstorms.
Oh, I see. We do have sand and salt supply currently.
But yeah.
Why, can I ask why paving's gone over so much? Do we know or have any insight?
Yes. There is I'm trying to remember.
Is this the shared agreement thing where we use a neighboring town with for paving services? Do we share the equipment? Is it that same budget line that I'm thinking of?
This is, well, perhaps, but it's just general
Just
paving, that this would not be covered by CHIPS.
How much sand is in there?
Well, there'll be over $9,000 left in that fund once we transfer this out, so.
Or is that less than like one bill something to shed cost?
It is, let me see. So Jeff and I discussed this 2 months ago. He anticipated that this would happen, but I didn't ask him specifically about which paving he was doing. He said, our shed is full, so, we have, let's see, in there, I think it's about I mean, that's more than half. What's left in that budget line is more than half of what we usually budget for the year. I feel personally like looking at their budget, if they need to move money around at the end of the year to cover sand, we'll be able to do that. So I feel very comfortable with this.
I guess that's really fun.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that we're not leaving ourselves where we can run out of sand.
No, we're not. I feel very comfortable with this at this point in the year, just looking at their overall budget, and they, Jessica and Jeff have been doing a very outstanding job staying on top of things, so.
Well, it only needs to get us through November.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long are they, how many more paving do they even have?
I think this is paving that just happened
That,
already.
just to finish what's coming
Yeah.
through for this month, okay?
Yeah.
Fine with sand. There's
Oh,
a lot of
sand.
sand. So if we get like 20 storms in December.
I don't know, see numbers. Very generic when we talk about the S word this early in the year. Did we motion in second?
Mhm.
I
Okay,
was just waiting, I thought we needed a second. No, technically, wait, if we discuss first.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
yeah, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Just didn't want to cut off the discussion. Okay, Mary Lou has drafted the so the DeJager subdivision bond approval. There's 3 resolutions, you said, Mary Lou?
Yes, there are 3 resolutions. The planning board has approved the subdivision with certain conditions. That includes that the town board, because only the town board can do these 3, approve the preservation and conservation easement and the 2 different bonds that will be bonding amounts that will be necessary. So I sent you guys the agreement last week with the changes that we had requested that their attorneys make. And if that is good with all of you, I would recommend that you make a resolution to approve the preservation conservation easement agreement with DeJager Realty LLC as presented, and to authorize the supervisor to execute that agreement as to our third-party enforcement right. And if you guys pass that, Chrissy, don't worry, I'll send that to you.
Do we have that motion?
I make the motion.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries.
Okay, the next 2, they're 2 separate motions, but there's certain work that they have to bond because we have to make sure it's actually done. And if not, we can go against the bond money or bond company, depending how they do it, in order to complete or restore different aspects of the project. These bonding amounts were first recommended by the applicant's engineer, then reviewed by the planning board engineers, and then the planning board made these recommendations. And the is a resolution to set the construction bond amount of $910,825 for construction of the DeJager subdivision, and the applicant shall present the bond for review and approval of the town board before they start.
I make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is a resolution to set the restoration bond for the DeJager subdivision at a sum of $270,900 for the DeJager subdivision, and the applicant shall present the bond for review and approval of the town board prior to starting same.
I'll make that motion. Do you want to make it?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So can you just explain the difference between those two bonds?
Yeah, one is for actually like the roads and things that have to be constructed. If they have to put in a bond and it's a 3-year bond, and if they're not constructed, we have the option of going to the bonding company, or if they give us a cash bond, going to the cash and having those roads constructed ourselves. The restoration bond is if they start the project and they leave things in such a manner that we have to restore it to make the property safe if they abandon the project. So that's what they're for.
Thank you.
And Mary Lou, just to confirm, we are setting these amounts, but then they get the
Right.
bond, and then we have to have to,
Right, they have to determine, and I haven't gotten it yet, I thought I might have, whether they want to use, a letter of credit, a cash bond, or a surety bond, all of which are acceptable as long as the terms included in the bond are okay. And it usually takes, from my perspective, a little bit of negotiating back and forth to make sure they have everything we need.
okay. And that is a process that they do with us, because is that true? We are listed as like the municipal.
Right,
agent.
they are insuring us basically. Yes,
Great.
they're providing the bond for us.
Yes. Okay, great. We're done with discussion then, so I'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, great. Thanks, Mary Lou.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to see which local law number we're at. I think it's 5. Hmm. I have 1, 2, and 3. Let's see here. I think we're at 4.
Oh, for the actual law.
Yes. I believe we're at 4.
Just the.
No.
No. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure we do the numbering right, Mary Lou.
Yeah, I'm I can look on the Secretary of State's website right now.
Okay,
to
perfect.
say.
I think it's 4.
And
but I
actually, you can do it without numbers. It's just going to be the next consecutive number. You can pass it just by name if you'd like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I would, okay. But you're looking, so we can just take a moment and
Yep.
see. I'll get this one into going. I'm not gonna get the box so far at all.
Gonna ask him. Tomorrow?
Sorry, there's a lot of menus I have to go through. Yep, this is number 4.
Perfect. All right. Um, So this would be adoption of local law 4 of 2024. The town of Rochester, I'd like to make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board renames local law G of 2024, establishing a community preservation fund and creating a community preservation fund advisory board to local law 4 of 2024, and adopt same and request the town clerk file with the New York Department of State.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Charlotte's absent. Okay. So discussion and possible resolutions. We need to table the scheduling of a public hearing for our amending the zoning map because I didn't receive, I'm supposed to receive the map tomorrow. I did want to ask the board if you were interested in the, we don't have to do this, but could I interest you in a 5-minute special meeting next week so that we could schedule that public hearing? Otherwise, we need to wait until the 26th to schedule that public hearing, which we could just preemptively decide when we want to schedule it, if you want, and not wait, or you know what I mean? We can't schedule it right now, but we could talk about when we would want to schedule that. You see what I'm saying?
When would it need to be next week?
Whenever we can get together, whenever 3 of us could get together.
We have a board meeting every next week and then around like Wednesday.
Yeah, there's a ZBA meeting on Thursday that might be canceled.
That's Monday.
I can earlier.
I'm only available Monday, Friday, and we'll have a talk.
I can do Friday. I'll be coming back Friday.
Oh shit,
As long as you-
don't write that in
Coming
my. Oh, I'm not.
I know it's not likely that you could all get together during the day, but if you can, there's nothing that says you can't do a 5-minute meeting at people's lunchtime if people can run down.
Yeah, I don't know what the community center schedule is.
What about like a 5 o'clock?
Their after-school program is until 5:30, so I think we'd have to do 6.
You can meet during the day?
Or evening, Monday.
I can meet Monday morning, so if you guys can meet Monday morning.
I don't know if there's anything scheduled here Monday morning.
You can use our meeting room.
We can't.
It's-
It's easy for me.
Oh, yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it, for the most part. From when I last talked to Ashley about their schedule. That there's not, Mondays is normally pretty open.
Okay. So I,
Yeah, meet before 10, but
We can we split for the town hall? If we're just meeting in your office with them?
yeah, we might want to still stream it though, just out of our commitment. We can just do it on my computer.
Time are we talking about Monday?
Some people are saying morning, we were saying eve,
I can
some
do
people could
either.
do evening.
I can do up until 9:45 a.m. day or after 5.
I can do Monday before 5 and the rest of it.
What about early Monday?
That's what I mean, before I can do anything before 5 o'clock Monday, anytime 6. I'm normally up at the top.
All right, well, let's be civilized.
Probably do 8.
My only concern is what if he doesn't send me the maps tomorrow? So, but we could try that and I can. That's a meeting for
Yeah, let's just schedule.
Yeah, let's just schedule.
8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, at the town hall.
It'll be like 5
Fun.
minutes. It's that 9.
Okay, so do I have that motion?
I make that motion to schedule a special town board meeting on Monday, September 16th at 8:30 at the Harold Littman At the town hall,
Just in case.
50 scenic. Scenic road, back forward. And for the town clerk to circulate notice. Right. It's like-
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Great. Discussion item B, the Rochester Ambulance Improvement District. Michael, did you want to put this off? Or-
I mean, I can kick it off. I think last meeting, we had a discussion about concerns, what we want to see in terms of documentation. Obviously, in the contract, and we received some red lines today. Again, everything, we've heard is that the calls are being answered, people are getting out, people are getting the care that they need, so I think that's important. I think, my understanding based on the conversation with the board is that we all just want a better sense of not only what the financial outlook looks like today, but what it looks like in the future to make sure that they're able to continue to provide services to the towns. And that's kind of the latest I have. I don't know if you have anything else.
And what do you think about the 2024 funds? I think that was just an open discussion that we had, like open.
I mean, you're saying the funds for this contract period? I mean, I think if we get a contract signed, personally, I would support dispersing funds, at the very least for the ones that have been covered, and then the remaining funds when we get to final reports. As far as I'm concerned, the obligations will be met to the town, they answer the call, so that would be my preference. But I think we need a contract in place. I think we need to look at that and make sure I can sign.
We want to go around the table?
Sure, I know me, I'm not opposed to signing a contract and speaking contracts. I am, however, not ready to do that until we get the financials, so I'm hopeful we'll get them by maybe next week, I think. Mr. Knopfler said in his public comment, I wrote it down, so hopefully we should get those, I guess I keep asking, comment, if they've hired a bookkeeper now or not, or anything, have you heard?
My understanding
You
is
said
yes.
they're working. Okay, so, but yeah, I would like to see financials first, what we're owed before I even entertain a contract. As like a show of good faith, I need that first. It's been long enough, like I said before, we wouldn't have done this with any other contractor in the town.
And we have received some financials, but you want more detail
We haven't received any for this year,
on. Yeah, we have.
not since the one we got in January.
Charlotte, what would you like to see?
I would like to see the same thing that we got in January, like a monthly breakdown of expenditures and income and bank account balances. I don't doubt the service that KPAS has provided and continues to provide the residents of this area. But I think us as the martyrs of the town's taxes and people's money to make sure that these services are provided, that we need to be responsible about that. And having a contractor that is not in an active contract right now and hasn't needed our funding for 3 quarters of the year is concerning.
So you want the monthly breakdown year to date for 2024?
Yes. Like the detailed long one, not like what they originally sent us last year, where it was 6 lines in an Excel file. I want the similar to what we had done before.
Renee?
Yeah, and I don't have a heavy opinion on this, not knowing the wait time that those documents, that you reviewed before, but I think that's seems pretty reasonable to not want to move forward until you do see financials. I do also feel that since the calls were responded to, that should be acknowledged as well. And for me, I think moving forward, with the correct documents provided is in my mind, it's reasonable, we entertain a contract. But like I said, I don't have a lot of background as to the, not discouragement, but the, I don't, you know. Thank you, thank you.
Just my thoughts on this.
Yeah, like, what do you think, the best course of action for us to move forward?
Oh, yeah, I think it's fine to be clear. You guys are saying you do have financials and you're saying it's not enough. So I think figuring out what else you need, and you're saying you don't know that you haven't seen the financials, they're saying these, so maybe sharing whatever financials you have, but I do agree that it seems really important, like that calls have been responded to, and I feel like it's important to get a contract done as soon as possible.
So, what I'd like, so Mary Lou, you got the red lines?
I did, the board
did
knows, I don't know if anybody else knows. I'm on vacation, so I looked at them very quickly late this
Yeah.
afternoon. Lots of things I'm fine with, but I think you have to be aware that we had this set up for quarterly payments. And in their red lines, they're proposing that payments be made in February and March, just 2 payments, not quarterly. And I think that's something you folks want to think about. This is what we're doing with Marbletown Rescue Squad on the other district contract. We're doing quarterly. That's working well. And I think it is a way to help be sure we get the reports that we ask for.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and
that's for you folks to discuss. And I do want to look to see, just in case we have anything in our formation of the district that sets forth quarterly payments. I'm not sure.
and also that red line should have been for 2024, not 2025. So, what I would like to propose is that, with Councilman Coleman's permission, that the two of us, and perhaps we could, when you're done with vacation, try to meet with Mary Lou and then maybe call a meeting with KFAS leadership, potentially.
And their attorney.
And their attorney. And then have something, I was trying to get clear of exactly what the board is wanting to see, so we could have face-to-face time to discuss that, take a look, make sure it's what everyone wants, and have that presented in October at our next meeting. I mean, hopefully we would have those things all together presented at the audit meeting, but then at our October business meeting, which is October 1st, we'd be able to take a better look and see if we've gotten everything that we're looking for. Is that?
Everything that, sorry, we did everything that we're looking for, very comfortable with the contract. Is it for the 2025 or?
I agree with her about the quarterly
Yeah.
reporting and standard and payments. I think that we need to look at the contract then, but like, I don't even want to do the work of trying to negotiate a contract without getting it that we were supposed to get in the original contract, so.
Yeah, and the way it's worded also is that we are supposed to be getting from the district, we should be getting our budget information. It's part of our budget.
Right.
So we do very at the same time, which is why I'm proposing that we have the meeting with the three of us, because I would like to address that also in these discussions, because it's all the same time, but they are separate. So whatever, we don't know what the needs are in 2025 are, but that's what determines the levy for that district. So there's action has to be taken on both figures. We have this amount that was levied for 2024. And I think part of what I would like to do though is we did receive some information, but looking at what other, we had talked about last week about what does other coverage look like? Just, I would like the board to have all that information as we're going into it. But we would also like to have those direct conversations with KFAS. So does that sound good? We will, unless another board member would rather do that with Michael, rather than me. I'm happy to.
I think that's a good, because you've worked closely with this before, and I am not as close in this world, and I was gonna say also, thank you for bringing up, Aaron, that I would still like to see a quote from another ambulance company for budget season at some point, so that we can at least get an idea if this contract can't happen, what we should be looking at for next year, so that, yeah, we can be ahead of it if that happens.
Yeah, I think also for transparency for the public too, to see that, I think is really important.
Should we set like a deadline or timeline of when we want to have this? I mean, I know you said at the audit meeting, so you can have the information by the audit meeting and then.
Yeah, I need to put something in the tentative budget. So we have to have those conversations ahead. Okay.
And you're back for next week, Mary Lou.
Yeah. If you and Michael just want to stay on the Zoom after the meeting, we can pick a time if that's good
Okay.
next week, if that's good with you.
Okay. All right, so I had added the discussion of the September 11th memorializing resolution. So I just wanted to, I think it's really good to do this now since the anniversary is fresh. Part of the proposal that Mr. Fornino brought to us is to create a memorial ceremony that would be at 7 p.m. on September 11th. And that, you know, we'd want the town to make sure there were the candles for the vigil and all of that. Now, the location of it being at the firehouse, I was thinking it would probably be best to have that. I'd like to speak with, I know that the firehouse is in support, but I want to make sure that we're not creating something in perpetuity that we don't have the permission to do. So I just wanted to get that. So I will work on this so that we could do, it would just be a resolution, but I would want to have anything we need to support it at the same time. Does that make sense?
I would like to include the Sean now.
Yeah, great.
Yes, I fully support it.
I have a proposal and then I wrote, Sean Carroll at the bottom. So thank you.
Excuse my being left-handed, not having a left-handed functions.
I was able to read everything.
8,000 linear feet of staining, siding.
Oh.
I'm too old for this stuff.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. So, well, thank you, Jerry, for bringing that to us. Other matters that, is everyone interested in this, the Highlands Conservation, District? Would you like me to put this on an agenda? Do you want to do some research on it?
Even on the workshop agenda, because that's not until the first.
Sure.
Right?
Do you
we have
want-
time to do it?
This was presented to us by the Open Space Institute. Would you like someone from Open Space Institute to be at that meeting or just talk about it amongst ourselves?
I'm fine with talking about it amongst ourselves. I think that it kind of goes hand in hand, but me personally, this kind of goes hand in hand. Been working with all of the I feel like preservation all around, so like I feel like I've had enough frustration the past 3 years.
Oh.
And I feel comfortable that I know what's going on.
I see what you're saying.
If that makes sense, like, I feel that well versed, but I'm not to entertain it for.
Well, I
Our
think
board
if,
members.
if you would rather, I would reach out, and you know somebody in the state. I would reach out, and have a conversation with Victor and like try and I'd like to make for that discussion instead of a presentation. if you like.
Okay, just wanted to, yeah, I think it's pretty low stake.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
high stakes.
Yeah.
I think that we're gonna have a very busy October, so.
Yes,
the
we are.
shorter we can keep
Yeah.
the agenda.
I would like to.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. October, speaking of October. Do we want to, do you guys feel like you have the capacity to schedule some meetings? Should we do that at our audit meeting? I will hopefully have the tentative agenda for you around then.
I think we can wait till the other.
Yeah.
I have a lot of penciled work things right now that I should by the audit meeting have permanently in there to know and have a better idea.
Okay, great. So we do have a executive session that we added, or 2 topics. So did you happen to do?
Oh.
Mhm.
For that, she needs to know. I'm happy to bring that, can we table in the morning for the audit meeting and I'm happy.
We can, I think we can,
So that is something to report in that meeting.
oh, well, but this gets streamed, so.
Oh, that's true, yes.
We can, I would like to just the theme, to our, when we adjourn, we will adjourn in memoriam to, all those that we've lost due to the September 11th, 2001 attack. And then we'll adjourn in that, but we'll have a list. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board enters into executive session for the purposes of matters leading to the appointment of particular persons and matters regarding the litigation of the Hidden Forest Camp. Oops.
MHP
Forest
LLC.
MHP LLC versus the Town of Rochester.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay, so we're now in executive session. I'm gonna stop streaming and ask. Oh, at 8:21, yes.